Hello and welcome again to my study on this Wednesday morning. Last night about 9 o'clock, I suddenly realised that it was still very light. And it got me thinking that I like that sort of gentle change that you get with the lengthening evenings after the suddenness of the 1 hour's change, how just gently over time it gets lighter and you don't notice until suddenly you realise it's quite late and it's still light. And we have some trees at the back of our garden which have been really quite bare up until recently, and then again at the weekend I suddenly realised they were full of leaves. There are more leaves to come, but they're getting there. And I realised, I think last night, how much I like gentle change. How much I like that change that occurs gradually over time, that you don't really notice until suddenly you find something's there. It's so different to the sudden changes that happen that really can put us off our stroke and be quite worrying and anxious making. We've seen a lot of that in the last year, haven't we? Firstly, with this strange thing called COVID, which we really didn't understand and which suddenly appeared around us and seemed to be making people terribly ill and then killing people. And then this pandemic. I wasn't really that sure what defined a pandemic, but now I know it's something that happens across the world. And of course lockdown and the change of not being able to see our friends, our families, not to be able to visit people, not to be able to visit people in hospital, to see that people were seriously ill and dying and couldn't be seen by their closest relatives. Terrible, awful changes. And then, over the last few weeks, it seems to have gradually got better. Vaccination programme has done an amazing job and lockdown seems to have worked. But then you look at India, and that country which seemed to be doing so well suddenly has had this terrible, awful change of people dying, not being able to get oxygen, and the terrible scenes we've seen on television. So I think we have to thank God for the gentleness of the change that we normally have, and to know that when we have change that's not gentle, when it's horrible, the gentleness of spirit that we can show to ourselves and to others is really the way of showing humanity, of making that humanity work for everybody. We have to be gentle with everybody and particularly with ourselves in times of dramatic change. And I think there will be no time more in my lifetime than as we move out of this pandemic for gentleness, to keep the gentleness we've found during the pandemic, but to build on that, and to make sure that as human beings we are gentle with each other, with ourselves, today, tomorrow and always. In that gentleness is God. It's no surprise, I think, that gentleness is one of the fruits of the Spirit. To me, gentleness is very close to love, and God is love. So God, I think, is really that gentleness that we need and that I hope we will keep over the coming months, coming years. What a wonderful change it would be if all humanity could come to become gentle to everybody, to swap war for peace and hatred for love, and just to know that gentleness of change which everybody needs and wants. So go out, be gentle with yourself and be gentle with others. That's a good way to start and end another week, another month, another year. So let's end with a prayer. Lord God, help us to be gentle with ourselves, gentle with others, to ensure that your love is found in that gentleness, and to know that you want us to be gentle, now and always. Amen.